let us say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. Thank you. We would like to begin this transmission first and foremost by congratulating each and every one of you and all of you together for shifting to a parallel reality in which you experienced a tropical storm instead of a hurricane. Very good. Well done. This is a prime example of what these kinds of shifts can do. Again, as a reminder, you're shifting all the time, billions of times a second, from parallel reality to parallel reality. But the idea is that when you gain conscious understanding of this, and you choose to remain in a specific vibration that is representative of your preference, then the design, in a sense, of the parallel reality you start shifting to, one after the other, becomes more representative of the reality you prefer. And so you smoothly, effortlessly, seamlessly, and immediately shift and transition to those parallel realities where thus then in that reality suddenly all the information is different. Now you can do this in a variety of ways. You can do it in such a manner as to not even know that you ever experienced another reality, as to not even know there was a shift. But because this is the age of where you are becoming more aware, more conscious of the fact that you are creating your reality, thus then you will give yourself more often than not the opportunity to remember that there was another reality that you used to perceive and that you have in fact actually made a shift and that you are consciously aware of the fact that you've made that shift. You're aware of the change itself. This is something that you will do for a while until, as you say, you get your parallel reality legs, until you become used to the idea that this is what is going on. And then you may allow yourself to simply relax the need to know that you've shifted from another reality, and you will simply experience whatever reality you are experiencing without necessarily having any remnant or indication that you experienced anything else. But for a while, in this time of transition, you will experience the idea of the transition. You will experience clues and indicators. They will still remain. They will still be in your reality that you in fact did shift your reality, to give you more and more understanding of how simply and easily and effortlessly you can do this, to give you all the clues, to give you the path you can trace and say, yes, I remember that in that reality everyone was saying there is a hurricane. And in fact, in that reality, it is a hurricane. But you have shifted to the idea of a reality where it has always only been a tropical storm. And that's the reality that you're in now. In fact, if you actually take a peek as we sense the energy in your area outside, you will find that things are now relatively calm. The idea is that you have now continued the momentum of shifting so that in that sense you will allow yourself to know that at any time and in any place where you feel that there is an experience in that reality that is not compatible with the vibration of your preference, without fear, without panic, without any kind of negative idea, without even devaluing the idea of the reality that you don't prefer, you will simply now draw upon the experience that you have had today, draw upon the energy that you have created individually and collectively in this day and time now, and you will apply it automatically and effortlessly and even perhaps even a little bit unconsciously in times to come, so that when you feel the need to shift, you can simply find yourself navigating more easily in the direction of the parallel realities that are more representative of what you prefer. Even though we originally talked about the idea of the title of this particular transmission as being Refining Your Life Story, and to some degree there will still be conversations back and forth between us this day involving that concept, we would now like, in the spirit of the shift, to shift the idea of the title of this particular idea to the eye of the storm. We don't mean E-Y-E, we mean the letter I. The eye of the storm, meaning you. So in this sense, you will know you are always at the center of the creation of your reality. You are always the calm spot, no matter what is going on, what is swirling around you, and whatever chaos seems to be happening all around in the reflection. You are always the eye of the storm. And thus you know that you can shift your direction any way, any which way you wish to, in any manner that you wish to, and that this now has become something more innate, something more ingrained within you. Because of this particular experience that you were willing to co-create with us, you now have tapped in directly to the idea of the taste of that vibration. You now know that signature. You now recognize that frequency. It is now a part of something that is conscious within you, and all you have to do to create it at any time, in any place, in any reality, is simply remember this moment. Remember, recall, reconnect to this moment, this feeling, right here, right now, in the eye of the storm. And that will be the vibrational state that you will immediately shift to. And from that state, you can thus then navigate yourself toward any direction of any parallel reality representative of the life story that you have visualized earlier on in these transmissions in, of course, that other reality. But the idea now is that this is a new reality, and you know now in this reality how to shift more consciously, because that is a part of the definition of this reality. And it has always been so. So the idea is that as you shift into a parallel reality, not only in that sense, thus do you change what appears to be the present, you change your history, you change your past, you change your future, because those things are just illusionary offshoots of the idea of your existence in the now. And so in this particular parallel reality now, where you are experiencing the eye of the storm, a tropical storm, not a hurricane, and it is now calm, you now realize that it has always been this way, that this vibration has always been with the person you are in this reality. Because the person that was in that other reality is still there. The version of yourself that is in the reality of the hurricane is still experiencing the reality of the hurricane. But you have shifted your consciousness view, your perspective, now through the eyes of the version of yourself in this particular reality to experience this thing that is more representative of the vibrational energy of peace, of tranquility, of growth, of renewal, and experience the shift in this area in this manner because of the vortex you created. And in creating that vortex of energy within yourself, that vortex matched the vortex, overlaid the vortex of what was the hurricane, and allowed it to shift in that sense, allowed it to transition into the vortex that you were providing, which became more dominant, the vortex of your parallel reality that was more representative of the way in which you prefer to experience that transition, that renewal. And thus then you yourself became the idea in the old reality, shall we say, of the vortex of the hurricane, and allowed it to transition into the parallel reality of the vortex of the tropical storm, and now are transitioning it, even as we speak, into the vortex of this calm state, this bubble reality that you have created. It may still seem in some senses that all around the area you are in, there may still be the vibrations of the idea of the old reality, but you are now within this peaceful, calm, crystalline bubble of a new reality that will expand outward, expand and expand and expand, so that as you, as an individual, go on your merry way, living your life story, you will always remain connected to the group dynamic that you co-created together here today. And no matter where you go on your globe, no matter how far apart individually you may seem to be from another individual in this group, you will now always be interconnected, regardless of space and time. You will always now have that vibrational bubble that you will always be in, and you are always capable of not only being in it in a group consensus sort of way, but you can also utilize it and allow yourself to manifest what you will as an individual using that group dynamic energy. Is this making some sense to you? All right. So, with that now firmly in the minds of the new people you have created yourself to be, that we are talking to today, whom we have never spoken to before, nice to meet you. We welcome the idea now for the opportunity of a little bit more interaction, and in these interactions we will explore further the idea not only of refinement of your life stories in whatever manner you wish to explore these ideas, but also open up to you a little more that in this parallel reality that you have shifted to now, there is actually more availability of certain kinds of information to you than was in the old reality. So it depends upon what you may be inspired to discuss and what doors you may choose to open that will determine what information we are now allowed in this reality to download to you. But we will allow you to discover what that is on your own, not wanting to let go of the mystery that's involved. But we'll see what surprises may come up now that we are communicating to a very different reality. So you may begin with your sharing. Oh, no, don't say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. All right. Once again, we thank each and every one of you, individually and all of you together collectively, for the co-creation of this interaction and the allowance of this transmission. We have entitled this transmission, Interdimensional Portals and Where to Find Them. Now, this transmission will be a little bit all over the map, specifically the one in your hands. We will be dealing with a few energy portals, not all of them. We will start with some, and over time, we will introduce more and more and more of them in future transmissions. But for now, if you will regard the maps you have been given, we can begin. The idea first, of course, is what is an interdimensional portal? It is an overlap, if you will, a gateway, a doorway, a tunnel, an opening between one reality and perhaps more than another reality, maybe even several other realities, depending upon the nature of the portal. But the idea is that these are vortices. They are energy in motion, swirling motion, that breaks down the barriers between different realities, allows for a transition from one to the other, or at the very least a utilization of the energy in that portal for whatever purposes you may intend to focus those energies on. But each and every one of those portals does have its own unique signature frequency that you can take advantage of more specifically if you are attracted to use that particular energy, that particular portal, as a permission slip. So with that in mind, we would like to begin to point out some of the ones that you already know about, but may not necessarily understand the specificity of that energy. We will begin with the idea of what many people on your planet call the major portals in the western side of your United States, being the idea of Haleakala in Maui, in Hawaii, and Shasta in your Northern California area. These being two major chakra portals. In the same way that you have chakra centers in your own body, the planet itself also has major main chakra portals, vortices on your planet that represent certain kinds of energies. Haleakala represents the idea in general of the heart energy of the planet. So in that energy, you get an opportunity to feel your heart opening,
to relax, to let go of all of the constrictions and restrictions that you might have imposed upon yourself with your belief systems. And it allows you to let them melt and dissolve and begin to really open up and feel yourself and develop and expand what you call your emotional IQ, your ability to tap into and empathize and connect through the idea of emotional energy to many other things and many other beings on your planet and in other dimensions. It centers you and allows you more ability to slow down time, in a sense, live more in the moment, which actually paradoxically allows you to experience an acceleration in your life. By living more in the moment, you are not creating as much time, and that feels like an acceleration in your reality, in your linear space-time reality. So Haleakala, being that particular chakra point, that particular vortex, the heart energy vortex on your planet, is very good for you to be able to realign yourself and let go and sort of reboot yourself on the emotional level, let everything mellow out, even out, go back to zero, and build yourself and crystallize yourself up again with regard to the kind of heart energy vibration that you would prefer to have. It is an area of support and nurturing, connecting you to nature in a variety of ways so that you can discover more clearly your own true nature through that heart energy. Now, coming into the vortex known as Shasta, this is representative of the crown chakra of the planet, that which connects you to spirit, but more specifically to your higher mind. In your own body's crown chakra, there is a kind of a vortex that looks like a cone with the point down here broadening up as it goes up to incorporate the bridge and the link to your own higher mind, so that along that conduit you can have greater communication, greater receptivity of communication from the higher mind, which generally translates in your physical body as the sensation of passion, love, creativity, excitement. So by associating yourself with the vibrational vortex of Shasta, you can perhaps, as a permission slip, based on your belief system, accelerate and amplify and magnify the connection, the bridge, the link you have to your higher mind, so that you can develop a relationship more strongly with the higher mind and the physical mind, so they can work together in a more harmonious way, allowing you to function on Earth as a whole person. For when you only allow your physical mind to attempt to guide you through life, you are not using the totality of what you are as a personality, as a person. The higher mind acts as the guide for you because, in a sense, it is metaphorically standing on the mountaintop and can see much farther than the physical mind can, which is down in the valley wandering along the paths. So the higher mind can say, go left and go right and stop there and back up and go forward and keep you from falling into holes along the path. Keep you from finding things that are not necessarily aligned with your true being. Or at the very least, if you do find those things that are vibrationally not compatible with you, guidance from the higher mind can allow you to remain in a positive state and so extract the beneficial effect from whatever it is that occurs in your reality. Because as we have said, it's not so much that what happens matters. What matters is what you do with what happens. And the idea of Shasta can create a stronger bond, a stronger link, and a stronger bridge vibrationally and energetically, and allow you to function as a whole person with the physical mind and the higher mind working in harmony, working together, and communicating very freely one to the other. As we have sometimes said, if you're only relying on your physical mind, then you are kind of functioning as a half-wit in physical reality. So allow yourselves to be a whole wit instead. You can use that vortex, that chakra point, that portal in that way if you are attracted to do so. And remember, the things you are attracted to because they align with your belief system. That's why the attraction is there. That's the magnetic pull that tells you, for right now at least, that particular permission slip is aligned sufficiently with your belief system to allow you to take advantage of it in such a way as to actually alter your belief system and allow you to give yourself more permission to be more of who you are. Now, let's come down to the idea of what might be called the sort of smaller portals in that sense. None of them are less important, but they have a little bit more distinctiveness and specificity about what it is they represent. And we're going to start down in the vortex and the portal that is labeled on the map as Roswell. Obviously, many of you know that this is associated with the idea of UFO activity and the beginning of the revelation of the existence of extraterrestrial beings on your planet and observing your planet and interacting with your planet in a variety of ways. It has come to symbolize the beginning of the era of your real conscious awareness of the existence of extraterrestrial beings. And therefore, Roswell itself represents and has been given the embodiment of the vibration of extraterrestrial energy and things that have to do with extraterrestrial information and relationship. So that particular vortex is good for magnifying, guiding, directing, focusing, and amplifying any ideas that you may wish to expand upon within your own relationships and connections to extraterrestrial energy, which you all have to some degree, or we probably wouldn't be having this conversation with you. So you can use the Roswell vortex in this way, if you wish. Now you see, going up into the idea of Santa Fe, that this particular vortex has to do with what's called ancestors, and this can mean a number of different things. This is more the idea of ancient connections on your planet, and not only ancestral connections to spirits that may be guiding you, spirit guides, so on and so forth, soul family members, so on and so forth, but also connects to intra-dimensional beings that we have talked about before, called the Kachinas, who live in a dimension that is actually in between other dimensions and form a kind of ancestor soul energy that connects you to the earth in a variety of natural ways. In Santa Fe, you can not only connect to these ancestor spirits and the Kachinas very strongly, but also get in touch with Gaia itself in a very unique way, with the consciousness of the planet, of Earth itself, expressing itself in a very unique way as it connects to other dimensions and has communication and dialogues with these kinds of beings, spirit guides and Kachinas and so forth. So this is a very reverential kind of energy, in a sense, a very introspective kind of energy that allows you to really get in touch with your connections to the earth, your connections to your spirit guides, your connections to your ancestor spirits, your connections to your soul family, and your connections to the Kachinas that bring about connections emotionally to many different kinds of things and patterns on your planet, such as the weather, and many other kinds of expressions of collective energy on your planet. So, in going to Santa Fe, if you are attracted to do so, you can strengthen the bonds of that understanding and dig more deeply down into your own inner being as it relates to these other beings that we have just mentioned, and the earth itself. Now we go up to an area that is generally referred to as Canyonlands, but specifically the idea of upheaval dome. Upheaval dome is actually an impact crater on your planet and connects to the idea of interdimensional energy, not only coming from space in that sense, but coming through and cracking open into different dimensions, a very strong, powerful electromagnetic portal that can have very profound and maybe sometimes even dizzying or disorienting effects on you as you stand in its energy, and it attempts to reorient you to different dimensional experiences within your own consciousness. So for those seeking a much, much more different kind of spiraling orientation and more awareness of different dimensions as they overlap with your reality, Upheaval Dome is very good for this and getting in touch with the different kinds of cosmic energies that exist throughout the multiverse and tapping into those other dimensional consciousnesses that can communicate with you in a very different way than an extraterrestrial being could. This is something that transcends space and time in a very unique way and can orient you to something very profound within your being and within your consciousness and awaken things you had not possibly even imagined before that would relate to you and the connections that you may have to higher dimensional realities. And now we come to the idea that you call Las Vegas. The idea is that this is the portal of probabilities. You have perhaps begun to notice that some of the reasons that certain cities exist in these areas is because of the nature of the energy portal in that area. Even though many people who may have started those cities may not have been completely conscious of this, they are attracted to those areas and built those cities in those areas because of the nature of the energy there. And what better place to put your Las Vegas than in the portal of probabilities? This is where the wheel spins and all bets are off, and you can really start to design your reality and get in touch more consciously with how you can allow the probabilities to build up in a synchronistic way so strongly that you experience a very different kind of way of having synchronicity in your life and the things that are being attracted to you and how they can be used in a variety of different ways than you may have originally conceived of them. So this opens the floodgates, opens up the probabilities, allows you to play with the idea of changing probabilities. As we have said, there really is no such thing as a prediction of the future, but there is a sensing at the present of the strongest energy that may exist at the moment of the prediction. And if you understand what the probability energy is of any given moment, then you can decide whether or not to maintain that probability level or whether to change that probability energy for yourself. So it gives you a sense of opening up all these different possibilities and probabilities for yourself and really guiding yourself into the reality that you really prefer. It's like having a skeleton key that unlocks you from any particular probability and really allows you to crystallize into yourself the probabilities that are certainly more representative of who it is you prefer to be and the reality that goes along with that. And therefore, that is that particular portal. And now we come to the idea of a portal that encompasses the areas of Los Angeles and where we are speaking to now in your Anaheim. This is the portal of parallel realities. And I'm just going to say one thing to illustrate this point. Why do you think Disneyland is here? It presents you with the idea of different realities in one location. And as you wander through that particular environment, you are exposed to different kinds of ideas, different kinds of realities, different kinds of scenarios and environments all in one place to show you that in the portal of parallel realities, and of course this is true for the idea of Los Angeles, the city of angels, the city of dreams, that there are many different expressions of different parallel realities all overlapping in one location so that you can pick and choose the parallel realities that really suit you best and also be exposed to different parallel realities to give you an opportunity to pick and choose things you may not have considered to be viable for you, but by being exposed to them, by being presented with them, you may find that you take a liking to a particular expression of a parallel reality because parallel realities infuse themselves and overlap themselves into any given one reality experience because you're not really ever just experiencing one reality. As we have said, what you consider to be one reality is actually composed of billions of different parallel reality shifts every single second. So you're navigating your consciousness, shifting through these billions of different versions of Earth every single second. But when you create an environment such as Los Angeles or Disneyland in Anaheim, you actually expose the realities in a very specific, concrete, and crystallized way. And there are, of course, many more of them than are represented in that idea. But you get an opportunity to unlock yourself and really understand how you're plotting your path and how you're navigating through all these different parallel realities that are creating what you believe to be or experience in continuity to be one particular timeline, which is actually composed of many, many, many different timelines. And we will get into that idea in another transmission as well, a little bit more deeply when we talk about the idea of parables and time crystals in our upcoming transmission. But for now, you can understand that you are smack in the middle of the portal of parallel realities. Now, this takes us to Sedona. And as you can see on the map, and this is no accident, Sedona is kind of the center point of this arc of these other portals. They are all almost, give or take, equidistant from Sedona. They all average about 320 to 333 miles from Sedona, and they form this arc. Sedona is the portal of amplification and magnification. It is one of the more powerful vortices on your planet and in your particular North American continent. And this is the reason why our ship is above Sedona and above that vortex, because we are aiding and assisting you in helping to funnel and channel, then filter that Sedona magnification and amplification energy to all these other portals to create a balancing effect in that semicircle, in that arc, and even including the idea of Shasta and Haleakala in the Western Hemisphere, but more specifically, more strongly in that arc of portals that surrounds Sedona. When you go to Sedona, its specific frequency of amplification and magnification is that it is like a mirror. It amplifies and magnifies what you bring with you, positive and negative, into that particular vortex, into that particular portal. And that's why we use that, because we can easily use that energy to shift and magnify and balance out all the other portals that are connected to it in that semicircular arc. So if you really want to find out what is being reflected to you, what kind of belief systems you might be holding on to that don't serve you, Sedona is a very good place to have that squarely in your face. So, this idea, again, of course, are representative of, as we said, permission slips. It's up to you to decide whether or not you are attracted to or gravitate to the utilization of any of these very specific portal energies. But we give you this map to begin with so that you can really begin to understand the specifics and the character and nature of each of these portals and use them in whatever way, shape, or form represents your highest passion. Does that make sense? All right. In return for the gift you are giving to us in allowing us to interact with each and every one of you, I ask you now, in what way may we be of service to you? You may begin with your questions and dialogues if you wish.